back to Lex Reads. So in today's video, we are going to be doing my January wrap up, everything I read, listened to, and watched for the month of January. I had a really good January, you guys. It started off with a bang. I read a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13 books. I think that is the most books I've ever read in a month, which I'm still shocked about. So before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. The reason why I was in a reading mood, more in a reading mood, is because you guys know last month I recently got a Kindle and I got a Kobo. So I got a Kobo, so I was gifted a Kobo, and then I loved it so much I said, you know what? I want to get a Kindle because there was some books, some authors that I really wanted to read, and they're exclusively through Kindle. Because of that, that's why my reading increased for the month of January, because I did read a lot of books from Kindle Unlimited and just went in. Okay, the first is Anna Karenina. I finally finished this. You guys know this is on my TBR for 2023 of no excuse me, oh Lord, TBR for 2024 last year, and it was one of my classic reads, and it took me almost a year to read, and it was because I kept on stopping, in between. I realized last year that I am a mood reader. I finally did finish this, and oh my goodness, at the size, this was like 800 and some pages. I do have a series called Black Girl Reads Anna Karenina, and I'll link that playlist down below of me, talking about the book. It does include spoilers because I cannot talk about this book without spoilers. This is a conversational piece. Next is a Kindle read. I read Goal by Alexandria House. I actually finished the whole series. So this series is called the St. Louis Sires or something like that, and there was 3 books in a series. I always wanted to read this, but I didn't want to. I was so cheap, I didn't want to pay $15 or whatever it was. Like I said, there's 3 books in the series. I read Goal, then I read Holding, and then I read Assist. No, I love this whole series. I would say the first one probably was my favorite. I really, really, really like that one. Next, I read 3 books in the month of January out of my comfort zone. So the first was Pet by Kweka Emenzi. And I told you guys in a video I did that this year in particular, I really wanted to read books out of my comfort zone. Y'all know I don't do horror. I don't do science fiction. I don't do fantasy. And like I said, I wanted to kind of get away from that. And I wanted to start small. So this is why I picked this up, because it has an element of fantasy, and yeah, basically element of fantasy. And I read Kweka Emenzi's book, this one, last year, and really did enjoy it, even though this is classified as a romance, which is not a romance. But I was like, you know what? I really did enjoy their work. So let me read something else, and I read this, and I do believe I want to read the prequel about Jam's mother, Bitter. So I probably will get that. And also too, I love the cover, but this was a cute little story. It also has some serious bits. I did like Jam. I love Bitter. I love when the scene when what was that monster's name? Pet, when they finally see him and the parents' reaction, and the dad was like, oh God, no, not this again. And Jam's looking at them like, what are you talking about? Her mother, Bitter, is a painter, and the painting comes to life. His name is Pet. And yeah, the way that she describes him, it's like he's like a gentle giant, and I just love that scene. I was cracking up at that scene. Next, another book out of my comfort zone, which is The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson. I did do a video where I took you guys along, and I bought 3 books that were out of my comfort zone. This was one of them. I told you guys in that video I was going to do a read the books, a whole week of me reading out of my comfort zone, which I'm in the process of editing that video. So I don't want to kind of give you guys my thoughts right now, but just know that I did read a book out of my comfort zone by Tiffany D. Jackson. This is my first time reading this author. It is basically inspired by Carrie. I don't want to say it's a retelling, because it's not a retelling. Not really. You have a young girl named Maddie. She's very quiet, stays to herself. She's isolated from her from the students in at school. They just don't like her, and she's harboring a secret and the secret is that she is biracial. It's not a spoiler because it's on the back of the book. And there is a video that becomes viral of some students basically bullying her. And this school is very segregated. They have a black prom and a white prom, and they want to have like their first integrated prom. And so one of the popular girls asked, you know, her boyfriend, why don't you ask out Maddie and take her to the prom? Again, it's the Carrie aspect. And you see how it goes. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Okay, next, and then the next book I read out of my comfort zone was Edgar Allan Poe. I read The Fall of the House of Usher. This is a collection of some of his short stories, and also you have some poems, and it's a very short story, like very short. And also what I did is I had the physical copy and then I listened to it on audio. Next is a classic I read, and it was Little Women. This was one of the first books that I read for January. It was in my little jar that I implement now, and I always wanted to read this. Have known about Little Women. I mean, who doesn't know about Little Women? Come on now. And I have been obsessed with the movie. I've been obsessed with the movie, the 1994 movie. I really, really enjoyed this. My favorite, I mean, come on now, it's probably Joe, which is everyone's favorite. But I have to say, I really did, as I've grown older, Amy, I like Amy. Even though Amy has some selfish aspects, but Amy knew exactly what she wanted in life. She knew, we're poor. I don't want to marry a poor man. I don't want to struggle. You know what I mean? I want the finer things in life. I want the pretty silk, dresses and all of that. And if you read the book, she got exactly what she wanted. And I always say too, Lori, y'all know their little friend and their neighbor, he was going to be in the March family. He was gonna be in the March family. And regardless, okay, I think any sister, he just wanted to be in the March family. What he really wanted was Joe, okay? But I never understood that aspect, okay? That just always frustrated me. But sometimes, you know, you do have friendships where with the opposite sex where it's like I see them as a brother. I just don't see you as, you know, a lover. I don't see you as a person that can be my husband, that can be my boyfriend, that can be my fiance. And she just didn't see that. You know what I mean? I, like I said, really enjoyed this book. I loved every minute of it. Next is a romance, and I read my second Beverly Jenkins book, and it is called Desire, and it's called Destiny's Embrace. Now this is a series, it's a 3-book series. I have all of the books, and I am going to continue the series this year because I really did enjoy this. This is about a young girl. Her name is Mariah Cooper. Mariah's mom is just horrible to her. It's set in Philadelphia and just treats her horribly, right? So she's like, you know what? I'm going to leave. And she does. And there's an ad in the paper for is it a maid or something like that? And she ends up working for Logan Yates. Now, these books, they follow the Yates brothers. And like I said, there's 3 books in a series. So I'm going to continue to read them because there's a cliffhanger with this book and you want to know about the next brother. It was perfect the way that she ended it. So it was like, oh yeah, I have to know. So really did enjoy this. I will be reading more Beverly Jenkins books because this was phenomenal. Next, I read The Forgotten Wife by Lakeisha Johnson. That was our book club pick for the month of January. And I like this book. I would give it a 3 stars. It kept you on your toes. And the twist at the end, oh my goodness. So it's a thriller / mystery, I would say. You have a woman, you have a couple, and their relationship just sucks. You know what I mean? They just cheating, everybody cheating. And she's like, I'm just sick of this. I'm sick of you cheating. I'm sick of everything. And one day she gets this email talking about, oh, the forgotten wife and some other details. And you just go down the rabbit hole. This kept you on your toes. I did listen to it. The audio sucked because it was like one of those visual voices or whatever that is. This book kept you on your toes. It honestly did. Next is Luca by Gray Huffington. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to get that Kindle. I am on the 3rd book now. I'm going to start the 3rd book, which is Lake. Y'all, this was so good. Oh my goodness. I've been wanting to read this book and this series, and Loved it so much, and they read so fast. I noticed on my Kindle, I read super fast. Like some of these books I'm going to mention next, I read them in like a day, which is odd for me because y'all know I read slowly. But I was able to read these books, and this, loved every minute. I love Luca. I love Ever. I love the story that towards the end with Ever, her situation. Oh my goodness, my heart was like this. I was gonna go to sleep, and I got to that part, and I couldn't. I had to stay up, and I had to go to work the next morning. But I'm like, I have to know what's gonna happen. I love the way this ended. It was so so good. I just loved every minute of it. Love Luca. Next is a book. Next is a novella called Fluffy by Kim Elise, I believe. And this is a recommendation I got from PETA, from Comfy Cozy Up. It is, I believe this author is Caribbean, but Fluffy, it's when I tell you it's short, but she is at this, is it a club or whatever, where they basically, it's kind of like swingers, where you just hook up with people and do a lot of stuff. Yeah. So she's there, but she thinks like no one's gonna be attracted to me because she's a plus size woman, and that's not the case. Not the case at all. Yeah. Next is also a novella. The Virus Brought Me My First Love by Rahita Clark. Y'all know I'm obsessed with Rahita Clark. She's probably she is my favorite urban fiction writer of like all times. And I wanted to read this novella set during the pandemic. And you have a young woman. She is single mom. She has two kids. And her neighbor, they really like each other. They always talk, but he just lost his job, and he's like, well, I'm basically gonna sleep in my car. And she's like, no, you can't do that. So for the time being, he stays with her, and they think that this virus is gonna last for like 2-3 weeks, if that. And because they're just cooped, in the house, they can't do anything. The attraction starts, and it was really good. Really enjoyed it. So that is it for the books. So like I said, I had a really good month when it came to the books. Next is the movies. I watched 3 movies. The first movie I watched is called Wild, and it's about Oscar Wilde, the author and the playwright. And I've always known about Oscar Wilde. And I read, what's this book he known for, which I do want to get, and they have a nice edition of the Penguin Classic, Black Spines, The Portrait of Dorian Gray. I read it years ago, so I would want to read it again. But he was a hoot, y'all. Oscar did what he wanted to do when he wanted to do it, how he wanted to do it, and because of that, his life just went downhill. He was, well, I don't want to say he was a closeted homosexual because people knew what he was doing. I mean, during that time, if you performed those acts, they thought that it was an abomination, and you went to prison and jail, and he did. And towards the end of his life, yeah, he went to prison for that for some years, and lost his family. He was married, his wife ended up dying. He never had contact with his 2 sons. He just lost everything due to him and his sexuality. But this movie really did get a insight in his life and just everything about him. And he was a very interesting man, honestly was. He seemed like he was a lot of fun. Really seemed like he was a lot of fun, but really did enjoy this movie. Next, oh my gosh, y'all. It is called Motherly Instincts. Y'all, this movie, I saw it on Hulu, and the cover intrigued me. So watched it, and my mouth was open. It's about 2 best friends. They live right next door to each other. It's set in the I think either 50s or 60s. And Anne Hathaway's character, they have children. And their children are the same age, best friends. Anne Hathaway's son ends up having an accident on like the roof of their house or a balcony. He falls and he dies. And the mother, the other mother, I forgot her name in the movie, but it's the actress Jessica. I forgot her last name. She was in The Help. But she sees him and she like says, hey, baby, stop. No, 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 no. And she runs in the house and says, to Anne Hathaway, go upstairs, hurry up, like he's on a balcony. And they don't make it in time. He dies. But it looks like Anne Hathaway's character feels like, you could have saved my son. type of situation, a tiny bit. But then she ends up getting really close to her best friend's son. And it's kind of like she feels like, oh, you're stealing my son. And yeah, y'all, this kept me on my toes the way that it ended. I just was like, are you kidding me? Because the stuff that goes on, you would never think that a housewife would do what, you know, they do. Y'all have to watch this. This was so good. And like I said, that ending, I was not expecting that ending at all. And then lastly, the movie I watched was another thriller. Lord, I was on a kick. It's called Greta. And I watched this before. I'd seen this some years ago, and I wanted to watch it again because I saw that it was available on Hulu, I believe. And this is about a young girl. I forgot the girl's name. She lost her mother. She's like in her 20s, and she's a waitress, and she's just trying to navigate, the world again without her mother, a young, 20-something-year-old girl. And you have this older woman named Greta. Oh, Lord. A French woman that is a widower, lonely, and she befriends her. But this lady is so off, you have no idea. The way that she, lures her in it's fascinating. It was fascinating. Yeah. I don't want to give too much away because y'all just gotta watch it if you guys have seen it. This movie old. But yeah, it was really good. I highly recommend it. All right, and then lastly for music, I listened to two vinyls I listened to two vinyls a month of the month of January, and the first, of course, was Tweet. You guys know that, was it December? No, November, I got obsessed with Tweet after watching an interview of hers. And I've always known Tweet. Remember when Tweet came out, loved her music. But that interview sparked my interest in her again, and I started to listen to like all of her music. And this is her first album, fantastic. I got this for Christmas. My sister brought it for me. Y'all, this album is amazing, and I love the cover. Ah, isn't that pretty? So yeah, I've been listening to I have been listening to Tweet, Southern Hummingbird, and then lastly, I have been listening to JoJo. I bought this in the month of January, and this was JoJo's first album, her debut album, and y'all, this is so good. The fact that this girl was like 13 years old singing this grown, her version of Weak by SWV is fantastic. And again, the fact that that baby was 13 years old singing Weak like that, because nobody can sing Weak like SWV. Nobody could sing Weak like Coco, but this girl, she did a fantastic job with this. I love JoJo, still love JoJo. I mean, grew up on JoJo, so yes. So yeah, guys, that is it when it comes to my monthly wrap up of January. Again, I had a really good, month, read a lot, watched some good movies, listen to some great music. So yeah, that is it. And I'll be back with more Black books. Bye.